World Trigger. The triumphant return of the greatest series in the world.
The champ is here!
Very excited to get it. Say what?
Undisputed.
Oh, undisputed. Don't come at us. This is the best series. But yeah, this is World Trigger. We're starting off with chapter 218, the away mission test, part 16. It starts off in the little video game that they've been playing, the battle simulation in the middle of the away exam test. Ikoma just got shot in the back by Urashima. I just love the little face that he makes as he's dying. His little avatar's like, eh. And Ikoma gets angry, you know, because video games are horde. So he's just like, crap! And they're just like all talking about how, like, we told you to watch out for Urashima. And wait, did Tachikawa just use Kogetsu Whirlwind?
He sure did.
Yeah, he did. You should know that. And everybody.
Good move, bro.
Yeah. Everybody's kind of like reacting to their win. At the same time, everybody simultaneously gets the special assignment that was revealed in the last chapter. And basically, the special assignment is posing the question of why were the matches in the rank wars between 3 or 4 teams as opposed to just team versus team. And they basically are asking, you know, for answers on that. Pretty much everybody comes to this particular conclusion where they all notice that they didn't specify that they have to answer it as a team. So this entire chapter and into the next chapter is pretty much every team pawning off the responsibility of the question and the different ways they do it. And we start with Osamu's squad, Suwa squad, technically. And Suwa is pretty decisive up top. The first thing he says is, like, he looks directly at Osamu and, like, you do it.
He said, special assignment, just one person? That, yo, Makumo. Yeah, that's right up your alley, bro.
And you know what? Like, Osamu's like, thank God.
He said, thank goodness.
He said, thank you. He thanked Suwa in his mind. He said, Suwa, thank you.
Yeah.
I mean,
it makes sense. That's what I would have said.
Yeah.
You know, no disrespect to Makumo. I feel like, yeah, he could probably handle it better and we don't lose as much with him being out.
Yeah. And he's aware of it. That's like what makes Osamu great as well. He's like, thank God, because I suck at this game.
Yeah. So they don't bring this. They don't bring it up right now specifically, but later on it's mentioned that this essentially the decision kind of boils down to who's your most expendable member for combat.
Yeah,
because they're going to be missing out on, like, you know, whichever rounds is going on. Depending on how fast they finish up.
Yeah, the actual person who makes that observation is the very next squad as we turn to Rokuro's squad, who is basically, they just got the special assignment and someone volunteers because, like, can that be me? I mean, this battle sim stuff is kind of, like, hard and it's a pain in the ass and everybody's like, well, we can't expend you, Hanazaki, because, you know, you're pretty integral. Like, even though this is hard for you, you're actually pretty useful right now. And aces and Huses are ace, so we can't really spare him. Rokuro is just kind of like thinking in his mind, and he's very, like, you know, hesitant. He's kind of doubtful. And he immediately perceives this, as Josh mentioned, that this is about who is, in theory, the least useful person in the battle sims. And Sawamura notices this, and I think that's very interesting because he's the one who takes the initiative to be like, hey, Rokuro, I'll do it, because it doesn't really make a difference if I'm gone. I'm probably, like, not super necessary for the battle sim, so I'll do it. And everybody kind of just agrees, you know, at that point. And I think, I guess I'll comment on this now. I think, like, the interesting thing about Sawamura is that he's on Suwa's squad. And I think he's, like, used to being led by a more decisive captain, and seeing someone like Rokuro kind of, like, be hesitant. He's like kind of advanced for this type of this kind of captain in a way. Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. I didn't think about I guess his upbringing. Not this character in particular, but yeah, you're right. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot he was.
Yeah,
I mean, he's the kid with the hat, right? He has got the
No, Suicide Squad is Sasamori. I call him Sawamura. I think Sasamori is the kid who volunteers on Rokuro Squad to do this special, like the kid with the black hair.
Yeah, and whose squad was he on?
Suwa.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, you said the kid with the hat.
Nah, doesn't he wear a hat on his squad?
No, not Sasamori.
Okay, I'm probably confusing him. Well, anyway, the point still stands that I did not think about that, and that's why he was so decisive like that, because he learned that from his leader. I don't think that. I mean, I think that makes him advanced in decision making. I don't think that makes him a completely more mature.
Definitely not. I was just thinking, agent. And maybe like I'm kind of out there, but I think like there is like something to be said about like how Suwa made like a very decisive choice immediately, and Saso, I keep forgetting this character's name, Sasamori, I think his name is. He's also kind of going in that line of like kind of taking, like trying to move things forward and kind of understanding the situation. Like he's seeing Rokuro struggle within himself. He
was able to kind of read his body language, and that's what I was waiting for you to finish. But I will say that, like, I definitely think he is very mature in multiple ways, more than just like the decision making, because he made that quick decision, but he was able to read, like I said, his emotions, like his body language, and recognize that he was struggling, which I guess is not something he's used to seeing his. Maybe that's why he was able to recognize it so well, because of how decisive he is. He was just like, "Whoa, Captain, you gonna say something?"
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is that he kind of sees a decisive he knows a decisive captain when he sees it.
Right. I agree. That was a really nice analysis of him on just 2 panels, broski. That was, right. Just 2 panels. Yeah, let's go, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I'll get into why I like think that, like, after I have a specific reason of how I was able to kind of like pick that up in 2 panels. If that is the truth, I don't know. That's just kind of like what I'm going on, but we'll get into more of that later. Rokuro immediately is like, "What a relief!" Although I hate myself for thinking that way. Then we go over to Mizukami Squad, who's thinking to himself, is like, "Well, I got the next match off, but I mean, and I could do the assignment on my own, but I don't think it's the right choice for me." So he basically puts it out to the rest of his squad and asks if anybody wants to volunteer to take the special assignment. And this team is pretty like quick to respond. They're like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And Arafune pretty much decides, like, takes it from there and delegates a little bit more, which is what Mizukami was actually kind of counting on, is that by putting the energy out there, the team will be self-sufficient enough to kind of take it upon themselves to figure it out, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, they got a team full of leaders, even if they're not all captains. But I definitely remember the girl with the braid.
Yeah, she's on
what?
She's on Azuma Squad, I think. Right?
No.
I'm wrong.
She's on that other squad.
You're right.
With that captain that felt away that he was
You're right. She's Kakizaki Squad.
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember them by name, but yeah.
Yeah, the other kids, the kids on Azuma Squad are
the twins. The twin. Well, they're not twins, but
they have like the opposite.
Yin Yang kids. Yeah,
Yin Yang boys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened.
No, but she's like a prodigy. She took out. She took out Chica. Remember that? That was dope.
Yeah.
She was like, "Man, I'm gonna use a little piece of debris," but she wasn't ready for that fucking blast.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, she and the other kid are supposedly prodigies in their own right, which is kind of
right.
Cool. We then cut to Kitazoe Squad, who is really also pretty democratic, but he tries to assign somebody. He asks Some to kind of take this up, but then he realizes, like, well, then without you're an operator, so we can't really spare you at all. Like, you're kind of out of position. Minamizawa is like, I'll do it. And Kikuchihara is not vibing with that. But
not at all.
Yeah,
he was not feeling that shit.
Yeah, he is like not. He's not feeling it at all. And that Minamizawa doesn't let him get it down. He's like, I got this. He's very much like typical shonen protagonist type kid. He's like, I got it. He's Sonic, basically.
And he's like, dog, pay attention to what the fuck I just said. I just said every reason why you shouldn't do it. The hell?
Yeah. And after, like, you know, they kind of debated a little while, Kitazoe kind of is like, you know what? I'll do it. Someone else control my units, and Some will pretty much be the leader-ish on this team. And everybody agrees. We then come to Murakami Squad, who's kind of like debating it as well. Kuma is kind of like trying to back out of it because she feels like she's not doing particularly well in the in the battle sims overall. But the team points out to the contrary, is like, well, she may not be like super aggressive offensively, but like I think they think that they'd be worse off without her defensive skill in the game. So, you know, they don't really want to lose her. Murakami is kind of thinking it over and trying to like think about the timing of things. So he realizes like, okay, so we have a break during match 8, so we could just work together on it during our break. And yeah, that's pretty much what they all agree on.
Where the democratic decision.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call this necessarily democratic. I guess, like, I think the operator kind of brings it up where Murakami is, like, being a little too thoughtful and considerate in terms of, like, he wants everyone to get the best out of the situation as they can. So he's saying, like, okay, we all focus together on, like, the things that we're focusing on, and then when the break comes along, we'll tackle it together. So it's not so hard on one person, I guess.
Well, I guess what I meant by Democrat, I guess I thought I meant what you was trying to say before, but they came to the decision with a discussion, you know, like but with a handful of people talking, rather than just the captain saying you do this and that's that.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know,
yeah,
but
that's
maybe Democratic is just a little vague for this specifically.
Yeah.
I want to go ahead and say that I was gonna wait till the end of the chapter, but I'll just bring this up real quick. I think this is kind of what I was talking about when these assignments first began, and they started getting into the combat phase and stuff. No, not even before that, when the teams were being decided and they had to live together and we was figuring out the dynamics of it. You know, this character in particular, she's always lacked self-confidence, you know? Mm-hmm. And what happened here in this situation... do you remember her name? I'm sorry.
Kumagai?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Kumagai, she, like I said, she lacks confidence when she does have some skills. And she's not the greatest, but she's pretty good at what she does. But if you don't think the best of yourself, you're just... You know, you're not going to put your best foot forward. That's just kind of how it works. Mm-hmm. But it was really nice for the other people on her team to really try to flip it and say what you perceive as a weakness is actually our strength, and the numbers just don't reflect that. See, she had lower numbers than the rest of the crew, but that's because she wasn't on offense, which is where you primarily, you know, do your scoring. Mm-hmm. So I thought, and here's the thing, her teammates saying that to her is totally different from these new people saying things to her. It's way more genuine and it's kind of weird that it works that way, but it is more genuine when you hear it from people you're not used to hearing it from, you know, because it just feels more genuine because, you know, the people around you, they care about you. They care about your best interest. They want to see you do better, but they also don't want to hurt your feelings. So they're going to, in the back of your mind, subconsciously, you're going to think that they're not being 100% honest. So I just really like that. I just wanted to bring that up, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that dynamic take place. And that's one of the core things I love about the series, the emotional dynamics. But we'll get into that another time.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on all those points. That's a really good observation. Speaking of which, the exact opposite of pretty much everyone on this squad.
Almost, yeah.
Ninomiya pulls up and is like, as captain, my orders are, Emma, you fucking do this special assignment.
No reasonings aside from, oh, don't you want to go on the away mission? All right, then, do it.
Yeah. It's very forceful. And Emma has to, I guess, comply. That's the captain. But anyway, man,
I thought he was gonna be cool about it. When he noticed that Emma wanted to be picked, he looked at it as someone that could be manipulated because he has some information. That's fucked up.
Well, he definitely perceives that Emma only wants to go on the away mission because of Chica. So, and I think he definitely knows that Emma's probably the only one who's really passionate about going on the away mission in his squad. Mm-hmm. So I think he's like very much using that card for sure. But in any case, Utagawa squad are basically talking about it. Yuma volunteers to take. He said he would like to volunteer, but his reading and writing skills aren't up to the test because he's a neighbor. So a neighbor. So they can. He can't be blown his cover. The operator tries to take it into her room and do it anyway, I guess trying to bail out and not do this work anymore. But they're like, well, you're an operator. We need you for the game. And she's like, oh, yeah. Right. The other kid on Kakizaki's squad, Kotaro, he volunteers. And Utagawa says, yeah, you definitely got this. And especially since, like, he was recommended by Kakizaki that if he ever volunteered for something that he should let him do it. Which is kind of sweet because Yuma also backs that up and so does Urishima. They're like, Kakizaki seems to really want to encourage his squad to kind of like take things upon themselves and have more confidence to take on certain things. I think it's a very sweet dynamic they have, especially since like he seems a lot older. Well, not a lot, but older than them. Like a very big brother type energy. Before he goes off to do the special assignment, Yuma mentions that just to keep in mind that the rank wars are designed as practice for a mission in the neighborhood. And Kotaro's like, interesting.
How do you know that?
Yeah, yeah. Urashima's like, that sounds really confident. You seem like you're very sure about that. And Yuma remembers that I forget, Rindo mentioned to him that his dad is the one actually who developed the rank war system when he was working with Border, and it's a nice little callback to that. It's definitely information I kind of forgot.
Yeah, I totally forgot that. But I thought Yuma's such a beast. He was built for this shit.
He was. His dad built this game.
He black sugar as he was dying. He was like, "Yeah, Cougar, you go to that earth and smoke all these niggas. You turn all these humans into packs, and then you show them where to go to help us. Smoke them all,
dude. It's so funny. Yeah, he definitely did prime his kid for this. But yeah, basically, like, I do remember that his dad basically designed this because, like, he has so much experience in the neighborhood. So, like, it was just kind of prime. But yeah, we end this chapter on the outside, where, I forget the female operator for, Tamakoma, what her name is. It's been a while. It's been 2 months and we have shit memory. It's too long. But yeah, she's talking to Jin, and she's like, "Man, Jin, you were right. This is really testing their teamwork." And Jin gets called away to leadership, to the top brass. Basically, they're calling him in, and Jin reveals on the way out that like he apparently can't go on the away mission himself. And I don't know. Our memory is not great, so I think this is the time where he revealed it first ever, but that's why this is the last panel of this chapter. But that's surprising that they don't have Jin. I guess he's like really valuable, especially since his side effect is just like so fucking godly.
Right. They're like, bro, we not losing your ass. No matter what.
Yeah. Not once.
You know what? If the world goes to shit, I'm taking you with me and I'm figuring out everything that might happen.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? That I can help them personally.
Yeah. No, I guess that I understand that. It's just when you have someone who can literally like not only tell the future, but multiple different branching futures, that's pretty fucking useful and you don't want to risk losing.
Right. Talk about perspective.
Yeah.
That's not one you want to lose.
Definitely not. But that was World Trigger Chapter 218. We're going to jump into World Trigger 219, the Away Mission Test Part 17. So while we cut to Suba's squad, and while the rest of the team is pretty much engaged in the battle sims, Osamu is working on his response to the special assignment. And basically, we get a 2-page explanation as to all of the factors that Osamu is considering, which is pretty great. I loved reading it because it is very interesting. There's a lot going on. I guess I'll try to summarize as best I can, and Josh can fill in the blanks if I forget anything.
I got.
But he already has some bullet points down. He said it in terms of like it's to even out the chances of like teams making the battles more balanced, so to say. So like people can't so people can capitalize on the situation. Even weaker squads, like lower ranked squads, don't just necessarily have to be slaughtered by a strong squad if there's an extra squad they have to worry about as well. There are the advantages.
Dynamic thinking, right?
Yeah, there's the dynamic of having some squads having more members than others. So, squads with 3 people would be at a disadvantage to squads with 4 people. So adding more squads to it would probably muddle the chances of the outnumbering squad to succeed. So, and that would also put more pressure on the operators, because if you need to have even numbers of fighters on each team, that's a lot to coordinate for some people, and not everybody's going to have the same standard of being able to communicate with so many people and manage so many things at the same time. It's a lot. And there's also,
it's at that point. It's particular. I don't know if you want to go down point by point.
I'm trying not to, but I kind of did.
No. Well, I ain't gonna lie. I think there's a lot we can unpack with each point as far as how we interpret it, and maybe relating it to other things in real life, not in border world. I mean, anyway. So, all right, I'm just going to talk about that last point because not that I'm breaking it down, but I did have an opinion about that, right? So you can argue and say that all that pressure on the operators would do is produce better ones. I think that's why they left the question mark at the end of it too, because it was just considering that may be an idea. I don't know if that's something he wrote in the end. I guess we'll see in a few pages, like when we talk about the information. That's why I think we shouldn't look at it point by point, because they're literally about to do that.
I think what
I just thought that was. It was again. They're going to talk about it, but I do want to say that this is one of the best qualities about Osamu, and really just about if you want to be a critical thinker in general, right? He's not certain, but he's saying like, well, okay, these are the possibilities that could be linked if conditions were different, and that's for better or worse. My perspective, and that's why I brought up my perspective. I look at that as, the more they got to worry about the best operators. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're still going to be. It's not like they're not going to be able to work all of a sudden. They're just going to have to get better. So that could be better. That could be more of an advantage for border. But who's to say?
Yeah.
Just another example of the great writing in this series and how it leads to more discussion. Yeah. Anyway.
I don't want to gush too much right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying.
This is going to be a lot of gushing later.
Such a great series.
Okay, so one thing I will say that I think he did include is that he talked about, and this is funny because it's very much in the world of sports as well, as to like Well, now we have to like consider the fact that these rules prevent the assembling of super teams everywhere, because like all of these squads will be searching for the strongest players if there isn't more of variable factors affecting the game.
Specifically to having multiple teams as opposed to just a team versus team format.
Yeah, and we kind of already saw this a while ago. Apparently, I remember this little moment where the Kako squad, who was an A-rank squad, was trying to recruit Yuma into her squad. I think it was mostly jokingly, but that was definitely like a moment where they were where she was just like, "You should join my squad."
They're just saying that would be the norm. Like people would be vicious. It'd be like the fucking like sports or something.
Yeah,
niggas draft round picks and all that.
Yeah,
or it'd be real chaotic.
Yeah, and it'll be, and as a side note, it would also be like kind of a wall for players like Osamu, you know, who are like not strong,
right?
And people like him would never be seen and not be seen as like a strategic value. But yeah,
I mean, I want to read it word for word if you don't mind.
Go for it.
And if my mic will permit it. Also, with fewer factors affecting the state of battle, squads would get comfortable using the same old reliable formations and tactics. We'd see very similar matches playing out over and over again. So I just want to break that down specifically real quick. In certain video games, like that have like a competitive side to it, right? Like with a PvP player base or you know, group versus group, however you want to look at it. Metagames can like the metagame refers to like most advanced tactics available, like meta, right? So the metagame meaning like, oh, this is what, like, you know, you see a lot of the same stuff because, you know, you have viable strategies and then alternate strategies branch off of trying to counter those strategies and then counter the counters, et cetera, et cetera. The meta evolves and develops, right? Things can become rigid and you say the meta becomes stale. And that's exactly what they're referencing here. That, you know, sure, you know, it would probably sharpen the fighters to be really strong and think of ways to just counter each other. But that sort of rigid thinking is not helpful in a environment where they don't understand all of the variables. Mm-hmm. You know, that's fine and dandy if you're just fighting humans on Earth, you know, but you're fighting aliens from another fucking universe, technically, right? It's like multiverse situation. It's not just space. They're not just out there in space, right? They're like coming through portals and shit, through gates. Yeah, this is multi-dimensional travel. So yes. Yeah, you don't know what to expect.
No, definitely not.
Freezing temperature might be different. You know?
Yeah,
different. Electromagnetism isn't as strong there. Oh man,
low grav, high grav, so many gravs. All of the gravs. Medium grav.
Who knows, man? So yeah, I thought that was a really, really good point, and I think it's not something super profound. I think we've all kind of thought about that, at least in the back of our mind. Mm-hmm. But they're absolutely right. That's all I wanted to say. Like, that was very intelligent.
Yeah, definitely, man. And to top it off, Suwa Squad actually got its first win without Osamu. Which, ooh. I mean, I don't even think that means that's necessarily a bad thing. You know?
Oh, it definitely is not. At least in my opinion.
I think Osamu's like.
Yeah. At first Osamu's kind of like ... like, oh, you know, damn, I wasn't there for it. But then someone's like, nah, man, like Osamu's strategies really help. Like, as a matter of fact, he was able to help without even being in the game. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And you see his little smile? No, Osamu.
Yeah, that's right, you fucking nerd.
Let's fucking go, dork.
You feel good about yourself. With your fucking Wolverine shirt. Is that a Wolverine? Not Wolverine X-Men, but an actual... bear. Oh yeah, it's a bear with a fish in its mouth. That's really cool. I want something like that.
Yeah. Yo, honestly, some of these shirts are dope. I like Mizukami's shirt with the hands that go like this. You'll see it as we scroll through, but yeah, anyway, we could spend all day talking about World Trigger. We then get over to something that will probably spark a lot more conversation, the HQ leadership desk. And we get kind of like our first real in-depth look of how they judge certain things in this exam. We actually get to see a summary that they get of how each squad decided who gets to do the special assignment. And it is interesting how like all of that, like all those like little arguments and stuff are broken down into one word each, one sentence each basically. And it is interesting when you like put it in those harsh terms. It's really just to the point and says a lot about leadership and or the teamwork of each team. I guess we shouldn't go through all of them, but they do highlight that certain squads like Suba Squad and Katora Squad and OG Squad kind of figured it out right away. And Katora is the only person who the people on Katora Squad are the only person we haven't seen up to this point actually debate the special assignment thing. And Katora we get that now where Katora just straight up is like, I'll do the special assignment because it's more efficient. I feel like this takes a lot more time because we are timed on these things. So I'll do it. Talking it out is risky. The longer we spend talking it out, although it could be seen as good and democratic, it's inefficient. So I'm voluntary because I should be the one to do it. And Kodera and Miura could take control of my units. So, it's fine. And Kodera's like, all right, cool. So then we get into all the various responses of the captains for the most part. And the points that were awarded to these squads by the A-rank agents who are examining them as well. So, everybody gave Katora at least a point or two for her decision. Rokudera got a lot of negative points because of his lack of confidence and
indecision. Yeah, and lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, damn, speak up.
Yeah, literally was like zero presence.
Yeah, she violated.
He said at least has to participate in the conversation.
Yo, Maki violated. He said, ouch, Maki, ouch.
Yeah, Jin did.
Someone said at least participate in the conversation.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, Kakizaki also got -1, but only because like he could have been a little bit more of a presence as a leader, I guess. The people who got okay marks are like Hitazo and Murakami, where like some people called him indecisive, but at the same time he was like, well, he believed in his teammates' intelligence and there's nothing wrong with that. Kitazo seemed like hesitant, so that's pretty much why. But somebody gave him a point based on he was more thinking of how to excel in the battle sims and prioritize that above everything else. And then they get into the actual scoring rubric of what they're looking for in terms of this exam. And one of the points is they have to mention the skills honed by making rank wars more complex, mention the downsides of holding rank wars matches between two squads at a time, discusses relevance of these factors to defense missions and other duties of the organization, which that's interesting. Like when you think about the rank wars in general, but the fourth and final point is basically the relevance to the neighborhood, just making them like a neighborhood mission.
Right.
Kitazo and Emma struggled kind of with a couple of points, but every squad seems to at least hit one or two of these points. And Murakami, Kumagai, a bunch of people responded within the first 2 points. Osamu is among the teams that actually hit on the fourth one, which is the relevance to the away mission. And only 2 got the third one, which is Sasamori and Yuba, talking about how the B rank wars are relevant to defense missions as well. They're not just about being away. It's also about protecting the world that they live in. And it's funny because like as much as the away missions have been such a presence, like you kind of forget that their job is also to chill here and make sure neighbors don't kill people or like kidnap people, as we all know they do. But yeah, only 2 of them got that far. Osamu and Oji actually brought up management. Just the real like bureaucratic idea of running the rank wars in the first place, and talking about how they split them up because the less squads are participating within a match at a time means like a longer season makes it a little harder to organize matches. And that was unexpected, even on the HQ people's part, where they were like, wow, they were even thinking about us, like putting together the rank wars in the first place. And the chapter ends basically like, they're pretty happy that they won. Suwa Squad is. We cut back to them. And then a few hours later...
Osamu hit on all 4 points.
Did he?
Yeah. So if you...
He did.
I was wondering if he was going to touch on that, but like...
I didn't notice that.
No, yeah, he just mentions that. I suppose those answers fall under the umbrella of point 3. Yeah. And it did, because they talked about the management of it, but if you go back to the point, discusses relevance of these factors to defense missions and other duties of the organization. It is a duty of the organization to find the most efficient and effective way to raise combatants and train them and prepare them for situations. If you have a poorly run system that's inefficient, you're only going to be, shooting yourself in the foot, right?
Yeah. No, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I think this chapter ends where Suwa Squad a few hours later finally gets the results of the day 2. And that's where the chapter ends in this little cliffhanger. But I guess we'll get into what I was about to say later. But let's throw it to thoughts in the chapter. Josh, what do you think about these?
Okay, chapters? So I'm gonna before I say what I think, I don't have too much to say myself. I was really kind of looking forward to just seeing how you thought about things and maybe playing off of it, but I will just talk about what's on my mind right now. So, I thought it was really critical on this last page here, where they kind of reflected on the battle simulations on how they did on that day. And if you look at the overall numbers, you got 2, they're 2, 7, and 1, which honestly is not a good record at all. Definitely not in football, I'll tell you that.
No. You don't want to be
not
the Steelers.
Where you want to be at any point. However, they broke it up in half, right? From the first half when they were learning, and the second half where they, where they used some of their experience and they made some adjustments, right? And in that adjustment period, they went 500 exactly. 2 wins, 2 losses, 1 tie. That is a completely different record than 2 and 7.
Yeah.
It shows that they, that's improvement. It's huge improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure those games that they lost was probably could have went either way in the last few ones, but I'm sure we're going to see how that translates in the next few chapters. Their squad is going to start doing better.
Yeah.
I really want to see if Makumo could get creative with his strategy, I think he's very, obviously he's smart and he's tactical, but it's not like he's been afraid to try out new crazy ideas. But I think kind of like how you had mentioned about how you want to see if he learns that from Kakazaki, that's his name, right? No, Suwa.
Yeah, Suwa.
But that he learns from Suwa how to kind of think on the fly, and that's what I want to see. I want to see his creativity instead of it being something that he had pre-planned. That's like a wacky idea. Just if he could just do that as he goes, oh my God, that could flip battles on their head, man. Because he completely relies on what, you know what I'm saying, on the plans they put in place before the battle. Yeah, he has contingencies, but really those contingencies have nothing to do with his personal touch on the matter. He has to react to everything.
Yeah.
And he's not always, whatever. That's what I had to say about that. You have any thought? Brian, do you have anything you wanted to say about this? Anything in reaction to what I said?
I feel like I really enjoy, I guess it's really weird. I feel like, what's the name of the dude that's always doubting himself again? Roku something?
Oh, Rokudera. Roku. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that guy, him and Osamu had like kind of opposite. Like their stories this chapter were like opposites. Like one is worried about being taken out of combat and them being successful, and their team is punished for that. And the other one is willing to make the sacrifice to step out and, you know, do what they gotta do for the team's betterment, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Suicide Squad was better for it, you know? Like, Osamu was like, all right, yep, I see that I could be a little bit of a fault here. Like, I could be a little bit kind of like, he could kind of hold them back a bit. So, him stepping aside and taking care of the special tasks and being grateful for taking that task, you know, like that goes a long way, not just for, you know, for himself. It's also good for a team, you know, having somebody who like is willing to do whatever it takes for the team, you know, like no matter what, like, yo, you could just put me to do whatever assignment and I'll do it. No talkbacks.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think, I would say that Rokudera is like a little less even like worried about the team, more of himself, because the whole thing is like the way he interprets it is like who's the most useless, and that's not necessarily the question, really. You know, like
it's not. You know, it's one way to interpret it, I guess.
Yeah, but it's not the way like you should interpret it as a leader necessarily. But yeah, I agree with that, Brian. And to be fair, like I guess like Osamu doesn't necessarily volunteer but only because Suwa was so quick to be like, Osamu, you do it.
I mean, yeah, I was actually gonna mention that you know, actually, the way I see it, Osamu kind of got saved by Suwa's quick decision making, and you know, he would have rather did that than went on the battle. Where I guess with Rokudera, you know, where I feel like Brian is right. Like he was scared. You know, he was scared at the prospect of the rest of the team thinking that he may be the weakest, or agreeing with him doing, like if he was the volunteer for the task, that everyone would agree with him, kind of further cementing that he is the weakest. And like you said, Chris, that's not good leadership. Mm-hmm. One, because he's thinking about self. He's got self first. Mm-hmm. You can't be your fucking captain. You got a whole bunch of people you got to manage. You know what I'm saying? You gotta put them feelings aside, and so that you can't distract yourself, because you got to pay attention to multiple people and how they feel, and that is your role, bro. That is what you should really be. The last thing you should concern yourself is your personal fears and inhibition. You gotta listen to your team first. That's what makes you a captain. Otherwise, you're just an asshole.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, you know us in World Trigger. We fucking love this series so much, but I think
without a doubt,
this chapter in particular is like, we love World Trigger for the rank wars and all that shit, but the thing about like Ashihara's writing is that he is such a good dialogue writer. Like, yes. World Trigger is literally one of those manga that like I eat every little word up, even though it's mostly like this fucking dialogue of explaining shit, you know. But the reason being is that like not everyone on this series has like a super bombastic personality or very emotional like connection to, but everybody sounds real, you know. Like
I just want to say that most characters are pretty chill and level headed. I almost said lame, but that's not what I wouldn't have meant lame like corny. Yeah. I would have meant like real even keeled, like not very super expressive and shit. And they still stand out because of their thought process.
Yeah, it is.
That's skillful for a fictional fucking character, and a whole bunch of them too.
It's incredible. I can't think of another series who writes like this, where I'm like, these could be real people, because like everybody kind of sounds different from one another, but not because of any like bombastic personality type. I mean, some people are like super extroverts, like Minamizawa, you know, guys like that. But you know, there's everybody sounds different, and also everybody like talks like a regular person at the same time. Like we all have like this common speaking pattern and all that stuff, but these little nuances in our personalities that make it different. And I think that's what comes out of everybody's perspective coming into this particular special assignment. And I think like Ashihara must know so much about like just human psychology, you know, just the idea.
Dude, he probably, or if he went to school, if he went to college, he definitely took a few of those courses and really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's
because most of the time you retain information from the shit you actually cared about one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the I remember.
Yeah, and everybody's reasonable. There wasn't like a big dramatic argument during this by anybody. Everybody's just a reasonable person because they all understand that they have a common goal, and they're all just cool. You know, like it's really cool to read. You know, when
wow,
these little subtleties.
You know, I think you're really onto something here, man. Because, yeah, I mean, look at it like this: the only unrealistic part about the dialogue is the fact that everyone, for the most part, is respectful and patient, and they hear someone talk and then they respond. Now, obviously, that's a dynamic of a comic. It's not an actual real person conversation, but even within the constraints of that, right? He still fleshes it out, and it sounds real because, like you said, these are people who are all on the same page with each other. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And don't have to be childish and immature in order to have disagreements and for ulterior motives to come up. You know what I'm saying? It's a very... most of the people are really mature. You know what I'm saying? In different ways. Some are really mature emotionally. Some are really mature responsibly. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, you have some people that lack confidence, and not everyone's perfect, but that's kind of the point, you know? They all kind of try hard at something, or they're trying to try hard at something. And that, again, back to how there's still conflict and contention with still this respectful language and this thoughtful language. People act like, there's going to be conflict and strife, and there's going to always be wars. That's humanity. No. People are always going to be fucking petty to each other. Sure, that's human nature. We don't need to blow each other up or kill each other or steal from each other to fucking still have conflict and then resolve it. And that's what I really, really like about this series. It doesn't seem like it's unrealistic that, you know what I'm saying, the conclusions that they come to. It sounds like, if you had two people who are trying to work towards a common goal or trying to at least find that common goal so that they can work together, because bloodshed is whack. Pain and strife and being in fear of your life every day is whack. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They come to conclusions. They don't even always agree fully, but you hash it out and you figure out more things along the line. That's how adults deal with conflict.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I really enjoy that so much about this series, and I think that was the first time, like, you really helped me kind of articulate that. As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot more to be said about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had another thing, I guess. Shit, now I'm losing it. But I will mention that apparently this wasn't shown, but Kageura and Inukai got into a fight. So those were the only people who had, like, they didn't fight each other, but, you know, they argued more aggressively.
Argument.
Because those two generally don't like each other. And Kakizaki ended up just assigning Inukai. But yeah, that was something we glanced over because it was one of the squads we didn't actually see do their thing.
Right. You're right. I didn't pay attention to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess, like, I'm focusing on, like, the subtlety in which he, like, talks, you know, like, displays language, like how nobody says exactly, like, their raw feelings all the time, you know, but people are very perceptive and they can kind of see what people mean. Like, you can always see where a character's coming from, even though they don't necessarily say what they're feeling. Yeah, it's just like, he's so good at that. And he's always been good at that. This is just it's just part of it. And there's manga out there where I'm, like, reading it, and if there's, like, a wall of text, I'm a little bit like, ugh. But
Yeah. Even with Jujutsu Kaisen, sometimes I'm just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I through it. But most of the time with World Trigger, it's just, this is the what you want.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, yeah, I'll read it all.
Yeah, that's how you know that World Trigger is just such a special manga where, like, when the talk no jutsu moments happen, you're right there. You're right there. You're fucking reading every word, and it's amazing. It's always right. Way. I love it. But that's all I got to say about World Trigger. I think that's the only thing I really like hit upon. It's a shame that this is a monthly series at this point because I miss it so much whenever it's gone. And at
least we got a double chapter.
Yeah, I mean we missed a month, so he owed us.
I guess.
No, I'm joking, obviously, but yeah, it's always good to see World Trigger. Probably top 2 favorite series of all time for both me and Josh. And I mean,
it's hard, man. You can't throw away One Piece like that.
That's why. That's the other series for me.
That's the only. Yeah, that's like the only other one. It's just weird. All right,
yeah,
anyway.
You know, it's one of those series that, like, you know, because it's monthly, when it goes away, you kind of forget about it, and then when it comes in, you're like, oh, this is just the greatest series. This is just the best. But I don't know. Any final closing thoughts before we move onward? I suppose. Sasamori. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. I know we have a lot of avid World Trigger fans, and I would love to hear your thoughts.
Where y'all at? Leave a like.
Yeah.
Say something cool. Who's your favorite character? You can tell me that.
Yeah, let us know, World Trigger gang.
Y'all should already know if you've been listening, though.
Mikumo?
This episode, I guess. I didn't say it on this one.
Yeah.
I said on a few other ones.
Yeah. But anyway, let's proceed onward.
Certified RGC.
Well,
certified RGC.
It was.
Certified
Yeah.
RGC.
Well,
that's right.
I guess my heart accidentally hit that button.
That's right. Right.
My heart actually acted for me.